Today on Travel Rolly Podcast, we've got Nigel Tiddy. Nigel is one of the founders of Windswept Brewing in Scotland. Jeff claims that this is the only beer he drinks in Scotland now. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Welcome to another edition of the Travel Royally Podcast. We're very excited today to have Nigel Tiddy from Windswept Brewing in Lossiemouth, Scotland. Nigel's got an amazing background. He studied at the University of York, and after graduation, he entered the Royal Air Force and became a military pilot. And after that, he was a flight simulator instructor. And in 2012, he and his fellow aviator, Al Reed, they started Windswept Brewing. And they have a fervent following across Scotland. They export their beers to 6 different countries. It's an award-winning brewery with way too many awards to name. His passions are cycling, skiing, and running. Golf is noticeably absent from that list of hobbies, Nigel. And I want to tell you, Nigel, the way that I found Windswept was a very pleasant surprise. I've been going to Scotland for 25 years, and after a round of golf, I always had a Guinness. And because I'm a member at Murray, I walk in, and where the Guinness tap used to be, very prominently displayed was a Windswept pull tab. And so I thought, well, I'll try that. And from that point on, I was hooked. And now it's the only beer I drink when I'm in Scotland. So thank you for that.
Well, that's very satisfying. Thank you for inviting me on the podcast. And it's great to know that we converted you here in Moray, just around the corner.
Well, I have to tell you, I love the video on YouTube you have that's called Best When You've Earned It. It's a very, very nice video. And I'll make sure that we put that into the description when we post this so people can see your video as well.
Yeah, we had that. It was fun putting that together. Actually, that's great. And so, I mean, the best when you've earned it thing for us is all about going out and playing your golf or climbing a mountain or go skiing. For me, skiing. I've started kite surfing as well. That's a great sport if anybody fancies scaring themselves a little bit. And going out doing what you do, and then that beer you have after you've achieved is always a great thing. So yeah, that's where the best when you've earned it comes from.
Now, you don't have a Scottish accent, so I'm guessing you're not from Lossiemouth. You're English, correct?
Yeah. So I come from Sheffield originally, and as you say, I joined the Air Force. It was the Air Force that brought me up to Lossie, and in '96 I moved up here in 1996, and I've never actually left. I did try a couple of times to get posted away, but then you have family and you get settled with friends, and you realise what a great place it is. And it came to I had an option to leave the Air Force, and the choices were go and live in London or wherever, or stay up here. And it was a bit of a no-brainer, as we say. So here I am.
So being from Sheffield, are you a Sheffield United fan?
I am a Sheffield United fan. It's been very exciting recently, but sorely disappointing in the end because we haven't quite made it through the playoffs. But there we go.
Yeah, well, my family is. We're all into soccer, as you call it, football, and
Except
my daughter played in college.
All except his son-in-law.
Yeah, everyone except this one son-in-law.
Nigel, I haven't been on the last few podcasts, but I heard that we were going to be talking about beer, so I decided to hop on and talk with you.
Excellent. Well.
He's going to make his first trip to Scotland in July. So
yeah,
his first pint of beer in Scotland I'll guarantee you will be Windswept.
Definitely.
Magnificent. I'll make sure that the pipes have been cleaned and perfect for you.
What do you recommend? I'm an IPA guy.
You like your IPAs? Well, we've got a couple of IPAs. We've got an IPA that's Tornado, which is a single hop Citra IPA. Yeah, 6.7% that one. So so that harks back to the aircraft, obviously, and we've also got Typhoon, which is single hop Amarillo, and that again because they've got the Typhoon here now, and so yeah, one of those Tornado, clearly, because that's my aircraft. That's clearly the one today.
That'll be my first. And what got you into the military and being a military pilot?
Well, yeah, crikey, yeah, that was a while ago. I actually did think about it at school, but then I went along to the RAF careers guys. I was told, well, if you can go to university, go to university, and then have a look later, which was good advice. I think I'd have found it harder if I hadn't had the 3 years at college. But so I went to university. I did a degree in chemistry, and then still wanted to join the Air Force. So I stepped in, and it was really that the job is it's active, but it's challenging. It's mentally and physically challenging, which is sort of something that I wanted to do. And I guess going through flying training, I didn't quite realize how challenging it was going to be. It was quite a journey, definitely, and but really so rewarding to get to the point where you're flying your first sort of frontline aircraft, and quite a journey, and a slightly odd route, I guess, to get there, but one that I think quite a few people take.
You mentioned Tornado being your plane. Can you explain the terminology there and what you meant? So
Tornado was the frontline aircraft that I flew here from out of Lossie and all over the world. Quite spent a reasonable amount of time in America and in the US and Canada as well. So that was our aircraft. I flew the GR1 and then the GR4, which was an upgraded version, which was a ground attack aircraft, and there was also the air defense, the F3, which was the air defense version of the same aircraft. But I just flew the GR4, and I did that from '96 through to 2007 in various squadrons here up Lossiemouth, and the Tornado. So the beer was 6.7%. So my first squadron was 617. So we actually made Tornado, and it was Al's, my business partner's, last squadron. So we actually made the beer 6.7 quite specifically as a tip of the hat to our squadron. And if you look on the bottles, the point is actually a little one. You have to look quite closely there.
I love it.
Now, Nigel, I think you were still in the Air Force back when there was the controversy about the British government deciding whether to remain open in Lossiemouth or down at Lukers outside St. Andrews. And that's right around the time you were starting Windswept, correct?
Yeah, well, a little. We were starting Windswept a bit after that, actually. It was just before we started the brewery, really, that all was happening. Yeah.
So, had that gone the other way, would that have impacted your locating in Murray or not?
Well, it would have changed my job options because I left the Air Force and joined the simulator. So I taught in the simulator at Lossiemouth. I think it would have changed that whole around that, what we'd have done around that time, because basically Al and I were both working in the sim, brewing beer in our garage, playing with beer, sort of experimenting. And when we started the brewery, we were still working as simulator instructors. So it was initially a very expensive hobby, really, yeah. With where we were brewing at weekends quite often. We were delivering after work, which was not always popular with the bars when you're dropping off your beer at 8 o'clock at night. But so we had some filling our cars with beer and driving it around the northeast of Scotland. We did a lot of that. So yeah, that would have, had the base not been there, our job not being there, that would have had a significant impact. Who knows what would have happened, but fortunately the right decision was made. Well, clearly I would say it was the right decision, but the base is going from strength to strength. It's when I came to Lossie in '96, we had there were 3-4 Tornado squadrons and a Jaguar squadron there. It was a really busy place. We had the Nimrods over at Kinloss. So the whole area for the Air Force was a really, really busy. And it went through, as we had, the period you're talking about was really quite quiet. Squadrons were going. Kinloss ended up getting shut down. He's now got the army there, so it was quite a strange time for the area and a lot of nervousness because the Air Force, they're not the biggest employer, but they are one of the biggest employers as well, and they bring a lot of people into the area. So there was a big movement to keep the RAF in there, and it paid off in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So what led you and Al to start the brewery? What led you to that?
Well, initially we were just brewing beer in the garage, basically, and there were, in fact, there's probably some Americans that are a little bit responsible because there were American exchange guys over here, and they were really keen to. I mean, it was quite funny because Al and our equipment was, we used the term Heath Robinson. I mean, cobbled together from coal boxes and kettle, whatever we could find. We'd make our mash tun would have a copper pipe cut so that we could, for the strain and all this sort of. And then these few Americans were over on exchange, and they shipped over their brewing equipment, which was just stunning, beautiful pumps, electronic, amazing this kit. And they were great. They were really into the brewers, really good brewers. And they set up this a club, I guess, the best name for it. And we'd have competitions. So they would say, right, it's porters, this date, this house. Somebody would host it. We'd blind taste all the beers, and they would all get marked and scored, and we decide who was the best out of the group. And there were probably about 8 to 10 of us, all get involved in this, and clearly with the appropriate, we got quite a lot of banter from all our friends for all this slightly odd, beery nonsense. But Al and I found that we were, actually our beers were doing pretty well in all these competitions. Quite often winning, and it was going down well with friends and locals around the place. Although one thing I would say is we did notice when we started the brewery that it's much easier to give beer away than it is to sell it. Everybody's
right.
You're very popular when you go to I was playing a lot of cricket at the time, and I would go to the cricket club and try this beer, and they all thought it was great, and try and sell it to them. It's a slightly different dynamic going on there, but so that really was it. And then one day we were walking into the we got quite into this technical side of things, and we were just walking into work with Al, and he said, I'm toying with the idea of starting a little brewery. And I said, do you want a partner? And he went, yeah, why not? And that was December 2011, which was our first board meeting, I guess, as we wandered into work. And it took us a year to sort of put it all together, really find the space, decide on the size we were going to go for, and sort of source the plant, and then get going in one. We actually in 8 units here. We were in just one of these little units here on the estate, just outside the RAF base. So the pace was perfect, where it was 8 minutes walk to the sim, and then 8 minutes walk back. So you suddenly realize you're late for your sim. We'd be sprinting across to the simulator building on camp to get in there. And sort of built it there. That year we spent sort of setting the thing up. We actually built a slightly bigger homebrew kit, put together, used an old immersion tank as an HLT, and sort of did some slightly dodgy electrics, I would say. And we did a lot, and we did loads and loads of trials and testing different yeasts with different beers and hop regimes and that sort of thing to get the first 2 or 3 beers absolutely right. So that year was spent playing around, learning how to count yeast so that we could do our yeast pitching right. This is when my chemistry degree came into some use for the first time ever, 20 years after I've done it. It's like, look at this. This is what we used to do.
You used your education.
Yeah,
rare
eventually. It
these
took a
days.
while. It took a while. My wife was teaching at a local school, and we borrowed a microscope from them so that we could teach ourselves how to do cell counts, and there was that little bit of laboratory work that we wanted to do. And and that's sort of where it all came from, really. And it's just grew from there.
Yeah. Well, does Windswept, it seems to me based on the video and the feel that I get from everything that you guys do, whether it's the brewery, the beers, the videos, social media, that you've got a vibe. Is there a vibe or an ethos that you're trying to get, a culture you're trying to instill?
Well, yeah, I think it's that love of the outdoors. To be honest, that's really what we're all about. We're in such a fantastic part of the world. There's so much you can do. I mean, you can play golf. Clearly, there's a lot of golf, but we've got the ocean here. We've got the mountains, less than an hour away. There's everything in between. So whether it's water sports or cycling or running or hiking or skiing or ski touring, ice climbing, whatever it is you want to do, we've sort of got it within quite a small radius here, and we love the outdoors. So it really it's that idea of beer being part of that, what you're doing. It's not the end. It's not what it's all about, but it's an important part of it. So drink something that's good, and make sure that whatever you've been doing, you have a positive end to it with a decent beer that you can sit and enjoy and know some care and attention and craftsmanship's gone into. And that's really what we're all about. Yeah.
Excellent. What was the biggest surprise you had in starting a brewery, other than it's more difficult to sell the beer to your friends than to give it to them for free?
That one. Actually, to be fair, I'm going to be fair to my friends. They're very good. Everyone's very good supporters, obviously. So it's a bit tongue in cheek there, but I think. A couple of surprises, I guess, and I mean the main one coming from the military is when you go and step into business. When you're in the military and you need to do something and you're running an exercise, or you've got to take a squadron somewhere and you start running out of money, what you do is you call up headquarters and you say, how much do you want us to do this? It's going to cost us a bit more than you've given me, and they decide whether they're going to give you the money or not, and then they probably do, and you go and do it. Whereas in business, you go, right, we want to do this, and you pat your pockets. Right, has anybody got a fiver on them? Right. So I think that was I think clearly we had our initial investment, but then it's like, well, actually, there's lots of other things you want to do, and where does the money come from? How you build that up. That was a surprise, and also I think that the biggest positive, I guess, positive to come out of it was is all the people we've worked with, who have just been fantastic. So we've had such a good group of people to work with here, and employing outside a big organization is a different thing, because as the guys that are running the business, you are the accounts, and you are HR, and you're also so you have all these different roles. And so there was, which we were, as being part of a big organization, yes, you might touch on them, but you're not it.
Right.
You have an HR person and you have an accounts person to talk to, and we suddenly didn't have that. And I think, so, that journey, and I would say it's a journey of your, working with your employees, and also stepping out of the military. You're working with people who, I mean, in the military, you've sort of grown up with them. There's a certain ethos there, and all the brands there, and it's all, everybody's focused on the same thing, but actually for our employee, we've had to sort of think, well, what is it we're trying to drive for? And what is it? And it's not just about us, it's about them as well. And, so I think that sort of journey with our employees, who have changed over time, although we've got some that have been with us for a long time now. But that's been a joy, really, and it's sort of frustrating and exciting and exhilarating, and so I think those are I mean, there'd be lots of surprises. Don't deny it on the way. But I think that employee journey and working with people and just learning a different model of working with people from the military, particularly, has been quite exciting and exhilarating, I think, for me.
And now you've hired enough people to where you're comfortable. No more surprises, right?
Yeah, right. I wish. So somebody throws another pandemic in it. I mean, we've got 12 employees on the book. It does go up and down a little bit. It's a little bit seasonal depending on what's going on in the bar, really. Yeah. But we're at a good size now for, so if somebody's off sick, we've got a bit of flex there, which is the main thing. I mean, I still I still end up having to step in. If somebody's off sick frequently, I'll end up having to step in. But that's less and less now, I think, which is nice. It's nice to know that we're just big enough and there's enough experience and knowledge around for people to be able to step into roles and do things when clearly people are going to go off poorly or whatever. And we do give them time off occasionally.
Occasionally.
Just occasionally, yeah. Just every now and again. They've been very good.
So what would you say is the most rewarding part of owning Windswept?
Well, I probably just touched on. I think it is. It's the people, we work with. It's not just the people we're working with, also the customers. That whole relationship that goes on. There's nothing more exciting than being out at an event, meeting lots of new people across the bar, but being with your team and delivering what you hope is going to be a great experience for everyone as well. So I would say, definitely it's the people you get involved with and engage with, and business to business as well. I've made some what I'd like to think, if we ended up shutting the doors tomorrow, they'd still be good friends, in the industry in various areas. So I think definitely it's the people you meet, the people you work with, and and our customers are great. They're so supportive. They're such a great bunch, and particularly when you consider what we've just been to, the sort of the support we got has been it's been fantastic. So the people are definitely what make it for me.
In the US, most of the time you go to a brewery, they have a big kitchen with a lot of good food. Do y'all have a kitchen? Do y'all sell food?
Well, we have a kitchen. I wouldn't say it's big. It's definitely that's work in progress. But what we have got, so I mean, one thing we did, in fact, during the pandemic to try and increase, to make the offering we've got in our tap room better, was to buy a pizza. It's actually a mobile pizza oven, which gets dragged out, and the guys. So over the weekend, so we make pizzas and that. So the kitchen, fortunately, the kitchen doesn't have to be used too much, just for the initial bit of prep.
So you said it's a work in progress. Are you planning to kind of add that to the?
Well, I think we're still in that, let's see how things go with it, as the pizza offering grows. And we just unfortunately our pizza chef left just around Christmas, so we've just got a new pizza chef, and he's great. He's got lots of new ideas. So it's how we develop that the offering we've got. He's as I say, Callum has just joined us. He's got lots of great ideas about what he'd like to do and what he thinks we can do with this oven as well. So he's got different experience. So, and he's very enthusiastic. So I'm hoping we'll build it up, and then maybe I've said to him, well, if he's doing well, then I can give him a better kitchen. And
I mean, all you need is pizza, to be honest with you. You'll make everybody happy.
It pretty much does it all. It pretty much does it all, doesn't it? I know.
Full kitchen is overrated. It's overrated. Just have pizza. You're right.
There's in the States, Nigel, there's a saying, there's no such thing as bad pizza. Right? You can eat it hot, you can eat it cold, you can eat it the next day. Pizza's always good, right?
Pizza is just it has its moment, and it's most of the time.
Yeah. Now, how many beers do you guys make now? Because I on the website, it's staggering.
Yeah, it's a little bit. We're quite busy at the moment, so I think there was a point last year where we had 24 different beers available. And part of that is because we because of the pandemic, we were putting so much more into bottle than we usually do. So we've got around 12 beers that we have available permanently, and which includes sort of our Cascade range. They occasionally go out, but they're nearly always available. And then we have a range of seasonal beers, which we plan to have basically one a month. There's a couple of months in the summer where we have two. So over the year, we should be putting out between, sort of 24, 25 beers, with a rotation of our seasonals as we go through. And we occasionally do a little throw an extra one we call our Uncharted range, where we've decided to play at something else, and we're not quite sure how it's going to turn around. Hence the Uncharted, how it's going to turn out. Hence the Uncharted. It's quite often in a barrel. Something that we thought, well, let's put that in a barrel and see what happens. So they come out sporadically. So it just depends what we're doing. But so 24, 25, so it is quite a lot to manage, I guess. But it seems to be, and I'm sure it's the same in the States, you've got to keep it interesting. Your core beers, they're going to be, your sort of essentials. But you've got to be. We want to explore. We want to explore and play with beer as well, and so do our customers. So we need to keep. It's important to keep bringing new things to the table and trying new things, and it challenges us as brewers as well, because we always have a meeting. Sort of, I say it's usually not sort of early to late summer, and we'll get a meeting in there. It's like, what are we going to do next year? What beers do people want to see? And then everyone throws out all these wacky ideas, and brewers go away and go, right, how are we going to do that? How does that work? How do we do that when somebody wants I don't know, a ginger papaya chocolate mousse beer or something, which we probably wouldn't. To be fair, we probably wouldn't do, but so and then we could scratch our heads and start playing with the trial brew kit and seeing what we can put together. So we like that.
How many bottles are you brewing a week now? Or how many pints a week?
We've got a 10-barrel brew kit, which is 1,600 liters, and it's about, what's that? It's about 3,000 pints, I guess, just over in a brew for us. And we, on average, we're brewing. It's sort of been up and down a bit the last few years, obviously, but we're between 3 to 4 brews a week on average throughout the year. So we're sort of in the I don't know, up to 10,000 pints a week, I guess, if it's a good week. So it's not huge. We did have a period just before Christmas. We got a nice order from an online company, and we were brewing a lot more than that and bottling a lot more than that for a few weeks. But so that was a good test of a brewery. Can we up our game a little bit? It all worked out very well. But in general, we're about 4 brews a week, 3 to 4 brews a week.
And what's your most popular? Is it Tornado?
It's not. The most popular is our blonde, which is a 4% pale ale. It's got American hops in it. It's not. It's a very the hops. It's not too fruity hoppy, but it's a nice sort of it's one of the first basically the first beer we brew almost, and one of the ones that we knew would be a good staple for the cask ale market particularly. But in cask, keg and bottle, it is actually still the beer that is ahead of everything else when you look at the numbers. It's always blonde, but it's the go-to for a lot of people, and it's become quite a staple. Yeah.
Is it pretty light? Normally the most popular would be like a lighter, easier to drink.
Yeah. It's 4%. So it's a 4%, sort of nice, light, easy drinking. Mm-hmm. As I say, sort of lightly hopped. So not too sort of slap you across the face with the hops. So and it just fits. It fits, across generations as well. It seems to be the one that people, if they're not sure, they'll go for that, and then they like it and stick with it. I don't know what it's like in the people tend to have the beer they drink in the UK quite often, and less so with the younger generation. And I bounce around all over the place, but quite often, no, I know what that's what I like. and that's what I'm going to drink, sort of thing. So once they found it, there's a tendency to stick with it, and definitely, we find that with the bars and stuff, customers like, no, we like a blonde. Okay, we can have a blonde.
I like to base my beer off of if I'm eating or not. So if I'm eating, I'll drink a lighter beer, so I'm not as bloated.
Yeah, and it's what you've been doing as well in the time of year. In the middle of winter, next to a fire, you want a nice dark, strong ale. So I'm like our Wolf or a Russian Imperial Stout. But in the summer, after you've been, running around or playing whatever you do, doing whatever you do, then something light and fresh and refreshing is what you're going to go for. So it really depends on your mood and the environment, I think, as well.
For sure.
And I reckon at some point you're going to say, what's your favorite beer? And it's a really difficult question to answer, because it just depends on, it does depend. I mean, I sort of do have a favorite, I guess, but it's not necessarily based purely on flavor. It's more based on a bit of an emotional connection, I guess.
Yeah.
But for me, drinking wise, it's what have I been doing? What's the weather like? What's the feeling? What's the feeling today?
Well, now's the time to ask, name your favorite child.
My favorite child.
Yeah.
Clearly I couldn't possibly say that. Beer, I can. Both my children are wonderful. But yeah, so my favorite beer. Well, as I say, I like them all, but I would probably say that our Wolf, which is a 6% dark, strong Scottish ale, is probably my favourite of the ones we do. But that's largely based with it's one I designed and brewed before we even started the brewery. So I, sort of 3 years before we started the brewery, I was making this in my garage, and we decided that this was one of the ones we wanted to go with, and it, and I'm quite proud of it. It's won a lot of awards. We call it our serial award winner. It seems to pick up something every year, and yes, it's a nice beer. And I'm more of a dark beer sort of a guy than a light beer anyway. So and the Wolf for me, and we've named it after the Wolf of Badenoch, who infamously burnt down Elgin Cathedral in 1393. He had a bit of a falling out with the church, and that was his response. He had a few issues, so should we say?
So where are your beers available throughout the UK? Are they available everywhere?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, varyingly. I mean, within Scotland, we sort of deliver, if not directly, indirectly, pretty much everywhere to trade. Clearly, we deliver online as well, so to people's doorsteps. That's throughout the UK. They can get the beer anywhere. But we have a couple of distributors in the rest of the UK. And we're just trying to set up, actually back in my hometown of Sheffield. I've got some connections there who do deliveries of other products, and we're looking to see if we can in effect do direct delivery sort of around into Sheffield, Leeds and Manchester, around there, which will be great for me. It'd be good to see. It would love it to see my beer back in my hometown. That'd be great.
It'd be nice to be able to buy it at a Sheffield United game, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't it ever? Yeah. Well, we'll have to get Bramwell. I'll talk to them at Bramwell Lane, see what they can see if they're in on it.
Send them the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's next for you guys?
Well, the summer is on us, so we're sort of revving ourselves up to sort of get out there and get the beer. Make sure we've got enough beer for the customer, because this is really it when things start getting busy for us. We've just kitted out a new mobile bar. It's an old horse box that we converted and put a set of taps in. So we're working hard to get that out to events and other bits and pieces. And we've got a few exciting. Well, we think they're exciting, but exciting summery beers coming along. So we just launched our Summit Sour, which is a raspberry sour, which we had last year. It was very popular, so we definitely do it again this year. That was our first sour, and it won the Scottish Beer Awards. It won the best fruited sour So we were very pleased with that, as you can imagine. And we've also got a couple of radlers coming out later on. Big fruity radlers coming out. So we've got some nice exciting beers, and then we've got, for the end of the year, we've got some sort of some interesting sort of bits and pieces we're going to do. We're looking at a German style beer, which the trials are just coming to the end of, which is a little bit unusual. You don't see many. We're looking at these. I can't reveal clearly our secrets, just in case it goes horribly wrong and we don't do it. But it's looking good at the moment. So we've got some nice ideas for bits and pieces coming out.
Well, you've got. I've got two questions along the line. Something you talked about. One, doing events. Will you be at Spayfest this year?
We are. We're not at Spayfest. No, it's not. That's not one we are involved in this year. We have done it. We've done it in the past, but not this year. We will be at Belladrum, which is the big music festival over sort of just northwest of Inverness, and it's one of the biggest. One of the biggest music festivals around here, and that's at the end of August. And then we've got we've got lots of other littler events going on, Highland Games and that sort of thing that we'll be getting the bar out from. But unfortunately, not Spayfest. No, we're not there this year.
Relative to German beers, you do make a Weizen, don't you?
Yeah, we make our Weizen. Our wheat beer is use the Weinstefaner yeast to give us the flavor profile on that. And that's really, that's a great festival beer actually. Beer festivals, it's slightly unusual because it's got a real banana flavor. I always say you can't count it as one of your 5 a day though. There aren't any bananas in, but so that's one of our permanent beers, which we've been doing from early on, and very popular.
Sweet. And now, any more questions from you, Hayden?
Just one of the last questions we have probably today is how can our viewers and listeners find you on social media?
So we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's the one. You can tell I'm not necessarily
tag you
of that era. We're in there at Windswept Brewing, and if people want to come along and see what we're up to, that'd be great. It'd be good to discuss things with them.
I'm gonna come get some pizza when we're there.
Definitely, we will make sure the oven is fired up and ready to go.
Sweet.
Well, Nigel, this has been great, and to anyone that's listening, I think you know that we curate our guests very carefully, and Nigel, we love Windswept. I'm not exaggerating. The people that I've introduced to it love it. I'm not exaggerating when I say it's the only beer I drink over there now.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, Jeff.
We can't wait to get over there in July, and my mouth is watering right now. I could use a tornado, a Poseidon, and a blonde instantaneously.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're making my mouth water now, and the bar's just out there.
Drinking on the job is okay at a brewery.
Yeah, that's
it's very important part of the testing process. Quality control is an essential part of what we do. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
Got to make sure the beer's good.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Nigel, thank you very much for your time. Again, we're thrilled to have you. And we hope that everyone that's listening becomes as big a fan of Windswept Brewery as I am.
Well, Jeff, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be invited onto your podcast, and can't wait to welcome you over here to the brewery in Lossie.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you again to Nigel Tiddy for coming on the podcast and talking about his journey with Windswept Brewing. I can't wait to get there and try a tornado. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and share the video, and we'll see you next Wednesday.